Hello, this is Joseph Hall, Executive Director of KST Theatre. Today I'm speaking with Alejandra Duque Cifuentes as part of 19 Minutes with Joseph Hall. So I'm going to loop her in. Bear with me. Yay!
Hello.
Hello!
Can
I was
you hear me
thinking,
okay?
what's that?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, definitely. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Every time I always think it's so miraculous once we connect on Instagram Live.
Yeah.
I'm always
I,
so surprised.
I would agree. I would agree. It always feels a little bit like a feat. Like,
Yes, yes. So for everyone watching, I'm Joseph Hall, the Executive Director of KST Theatre in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm joined by Alejandra Duque Cifuentes, who is the Executive Director of Dance NYC. I know Alejandra from my work in New York, and I feel like we didn't have a lot of conversations, or we weren't around each other a whole lot. But I always really admired you through, Charles and Arthur, the ED and AD at BAD, the Bronx Academy of Arts and Dance. I know that they, really have such a love for you and knew you before you entered into Dance NYC as the ED. But I guess most of how I'm familiar with you is through Dance NYC. Are there other things that people should know about you that isn't necessarily covered in your bio?
yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say is I am so very grateful that you've invited me to chat. I also have been like longing to have more of a conversation and for us to connect more. I feel like we have a lot of serendipitous connections, not just in people, but also in our ideas and our values and in
Yeah.
how we function as folks that serve a wide artistic community. So I'm very excited. I am going to do a tiny, brief physical description for any folks that might be joining us that are visually impaired or blind. So I'm a fair-skinned Latina woman. My hair is brown and long. I'm wearing pearl earrings, overgrown eyebrows that I've filled in. And I am wearing a black t-shirt, and I'm sitting in front of my kitchen, which you can see white cabinets and wall behind me. So yeah, things that folks don't know already about me. Actually, I was born within the theater community. I am a theater director by trade, and I once founded a theater making organization, Theatre That Transcends. And so I, in my past life, was an educator in theater and physical theater and movement, and also was a touring stage and production manager. And so I come to the work that I do at Dance NYC as from the perspective of an artist that sat in a rehearsal studio, that had to find space, that had to figure out how to pay people, that had to schedule rehearsals, that was teaching classes on one side and on the other side doing gigs, and then on the other side doing the admin thing. And I really come to work as a mover as well, and as a community organizer. And so when I moved into my work at Dance NYC, specifically as the executive director, it wasn't that long before I was in the shoes that many of the artists that we serve are in. And so that has been a really, really, really important part that has defined it, not just my leadership, but also how we serve the field.
Mm-hmm. So Alejandra, I want to thank you. One of the things that I admire so much about you is that you're always bringing folks into the sphere, into the conversation. So I'm going to take your lead and also provide a description. So thank you for leading. Let's see. I am a Black cisgender queer man, maybe like medium skin complexion, bald head, a little bit of a beard. In my home, which is like a white and gray airy space. There's a fireplace behind me with two kind of painting things, ceramic pieces, and plants. Yeah, but it's very white and bright in here today. So thank you for providing that, Alejandra. I always want to start off with, how are you? You know, I'm concerned with us as individuals. So I want to start from that place.
How am I? I am a combination of clear-headed and grounded and certain that I am where I need to be for this moment in time, and also tired and sad and disheveled by what not only I am experiencing as an individual and my family, but by the collective hurting that we're experiencing as an artistic community, and also, you know, as a city. I live in Queens, New York. I am in my studio. I am only 5 minutes away from Elmhurst Hospital, in one of the zip codes in New York City that is experiencing the highest death rates due to COVID-19. I live in a predominantly immigrant community. My building specifically has a lot of elderly folks and disabled folks. And so I am both invigorated and super clear, more than ever, about the work I need to be doing, and how and with whom, and when to throw away any kind of structure and when to really support structure, while also being conjured into a space of collective grieving consistently. And so that's how I am.
I'm wondering if there's anything like specifically you can point to, just in terms of, you know, throwing away structure. What are the things that you are kind of looking at changing, whether it be within inside of Dance NYC or just as a broader society? Like, what are the things that you are seeing kind of being thrown away that will kind of like make a change for us in the future?
I think that, you know, I'm a very type A person. I love spreadsheets, and I love to-do lists, and I love geometry and symmetry, and, you know, I think there's something really beautiful about those things. But also, in my work as a theater director and stage manager, I worked predominantly in devised theater. And so one of the things that I loved about that practice was the commitment to improvisation, and improvisation as an area of deep expertise, and as an incredible strength and adaptability. And I think that often in formal structures, whether it's arts and culture, whether it's running a business or a nonprofit, or whether even it's in our technique world, as dance makers or as artists, I think sometimes we downplay just how powerful improvisation is, and actually how much expertise it requires. And one of the things that I am really leaning onto in this moment is, what does it look like to yes and every day? When I walk into the office, I have a plan, but what does it look like for us to yes and, to listen and be present with what's happening in the community and what's happening in that day, and to pivot as necessary in order to address things. And I think that sometimes what happens with that is that there's an assumption that it's reactive, but improvisation is deeply proactive. It requires a profound presence and ability to be, which leads me to my next thing, which is that often in positions of leadership, we are taught to, like, this is the model on how you do things, and you determine the pros and the cons and this, and we're actually often pushed away from depending on our ancestral and gut knowledge that communicates information that sometimes is not tangible, but that often leads us in the direction where we need to go. And so that's another thing. I'm like, I'm throwing away some of those pros and cons lists, and I'm sitting and I'm listening and I'm being present,
yes,
and being responsive to that presence. I'm being responsive to the echoes, the cloud of witnesses of our community and our ancestors and our elders, and I'm answering and making decisions from that place. And then I would say the last thing really is also in the grant making world, we are a grant maker. We are not the source of money. We like to call ourselves the great redistributors of wealth. And so we are the source of money, but we fundraise money and we distribute it in the community. And even in that area, and this Friday I'll be publishing an article that addresses this more directly in the grant making world. But really, like, thinking about what are all of these structures that we put into place that force people to do these super long applications, or that create all of these and really sustain all of these models of inequity, and how because of the urgency of this moment, we've had to really realize that actually there's a lot of stuff we don't need. We can just kind of like make this and this easier, and we can remove this question, and we can, you know, pay people faster, and we can skip the contract. And, you know, we're realizing that there are a lot of things that can be made easier. And that those things require a level of trust in our community, a level of trust in the artists and the people that we serve, knowing that they know best how to make use of the resources so that they can thrive as artists and as people, and also getting things to them as quickly as possible with as little barriers as possible. So those are some of the things that I've been kind of like.
Those are just a few of the small things in this world that I've been thinking of. I want to snap to that. I want to say amen and ashe. And I want to remind folks who are joining us that this is 19 Minutes with Joseph Hall, reclaiming the 19 in COVID, taking those 19 minutes to talk with other arts leaders from around the world. And today I'm joined with Alejandra Duque Cifuentes, the executive director of Dance NYC. She's already blessed us. Thank you. And, you know, talking about kind of devised theater, devised dance, I think of kind of child's play, and how we lose so much of that as adults, that play becomes this kind of superfluous, you know, there's no kind of product from it. So then we think it's not usable. But actually, I think if we can allow ourselves to, even within play, you know, I think of children and how they make some weird constraints, like don't step on the cracks, you'll break your mom's back, you know, whatever. They're even implementing constraints within the play in order to get to something that they could not have imagined otherwise. And I'm thinking about, you know, what you said in this moment, we are getting to other solutions, other ways of doing things because of the constraint, or because of the, you know, the necessity to do something else. So how also do we kind of like think about play, or think about improv, you know, think about yes and in this moment. So I for folks who may not know, I wonder if you can give us a little lowdown on Dance NYC.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dance NYC is a service organization for dance focused on promoting the practice, performance, appreciation of dance in the metropolitan New York City area, which for us includes the 5 boroughs of New York City, Hudson and Bergen counties in New Jersey State, Westchester, Nassau, and Suffolk counties in New York State. And so that's the specific geography we work within. We do all of our work really anchored on our values of justice, equity, and inclusion, and we work in alliance with the National Dance Service Organization, Dance USA. To serve the dance field here in New York City and the dance workforce, really, we do our work through 5 discrete programs. The first is that we advocate on behalf of dance artists and dance makers wherever decisions of arts and culture are being made at the city, state, and federal level. We undertake research on the workforce and try to understand the economic impact and benefits that workforce generates for our city. That was my phone telling me I've been on IG for too long. The third thing that we do is that we bring the field together through events and convening, both in person and digital. We also have a technology branch to our work. Our website, dance.nyc, is serving the classifieds for dance. And so that's where folks go to find resources, to find work, to connect to internships, auditions, different opportunities, volunteer. And we also provide, through that medium, low-cost ads to the dance-making community. And then last but not least, we are a grant maker. We have discrete grant-making programs. Currently, we have 4 active grant-making programs, the first being a rehearsal-based subsidy program that provides subsidized rehearsal rates for rehearsal space across the 5 boroughs of New York City to dance artists. We also have a dance advancement fund that provides general operating support to organizations with budgets between $25,000 and $1 million. And a disability dance artistry residency program that focuses on supporting disabled dance makers. And then our current relief effort, our Coronavirus Dance Relief Fund, which provides support to individual freelance dance workers, as well as organizations with budgets between $25,000 and $500,000. So that's what we do.
So Dance NYC does a whole lot all the time, every day. I'm wondering how is Dance NYC kind of doing in this moment? How is the key communities you serve, the communities that you are in, and how is Dance NYC kind of either pivoting or doing what it's always been doing, but in different ways? How are you navigating this moment as an organization?
It's a combination of a lot of things. We are certainly pivoting. We've, of course, moved all of our operations remotely. Unlike dance venues or presenting institutions, we do not have a venue that we operate, and the majority of our programs happen either digitally or in the community. And so, you know, we have the very rare blessing of not having to incur working. Really, our team has been tirelessly, you know, we've had to grow our team, increase folks' hours. It's a rare moment of being able to do that when so many of our colleagues in the field have lost the opportunity to pay for their employees. But really, we don't have enough hours in the day. I mean, our team works somewhere between 12 to 15 hours a day. It's a team of 15 people, and it's truly an endeavor right now. The field is being impacted greatly. On our website, we publish weekly updates on our data findings to the Coronavirus Impact Survey, and it shows that freelance dance workers have lost over $3 million in income in just since March, just mid-March. Of course, our data confirms that people of color, immigrant, and disabled people, that the proportion of income loss is much higher for them, that they have less access to the things they need right now. The 3 biggest things that everybody needs are food, rent, and salaries. Food being the first, which gives you a sense of how that the ability to cover certain bills is getting precarious for the community. I mean, just for our April application for the Freelance Fund, we had 653 applicants in 5 days.
And what is the norm for one of your applications?
Well, I mean, this is unlike anything we've done before, because typically we've only served either small organizations or fiscally sponsored groups. We don't really make grants to individuals. This is the first time that we've done something like that. But for comparison's sake, in March, we received 400 applications, and within 2 weeks, we received almost twice as many for the next month. And we are really only able to fund a small portion of the applicants. We were only able to give 204 awards out of 653 applicants. So while there's a lot of joy in being able to support folks, there's also a lot of sadness and grieving that comes with the many no's, and really that most of them are just because we ran out. It, you know, nothing other than because we ran out of resource, and not because people aren't worthy of the support or able to, you know, or that, you know, there was any problems with their application. Just simply we didn't have enough money.
Alejandra, as we kind of you know, move deeper into this and into kind of uncertainty and just thinking about dance, dance's future, I'm wondering what individuals and what other institutions can be doing in terms of the advocacy work that you are doing, because I do feel like, you know, in the national conversation, just in terms of COVID in general and this pandemic, the arts is really just not getting play much at all, and certainly not dance. So is there anything that we can take from you, you know, to be advocating for ourselves, and for ourselves as maybe individual dance makers, and for ourselves as institutions?
Absolutely. So on our website, particularly in the section connected to our impact survey, we do have a page that gives folks guidelines of how folks can reach out to their different representatives. Right now, people need our stories. They you know, as organizations, they're used to hearing from us. They're used to getting our data. They've gotten our data. We are like, did you see the update all the time? But they really are eager to hear from their constituents. And so call your city council members office, or send them an email. Call your representative, call your senator. And it doesn't have to be like anything fancy. You could say, hey, I'm calling, you know, I am in this zip code. You are my representative. You're my senator. You're my council member. I want you to know that I'm a dance artist. I've signed up for unemployment and I haven't gotten my call back. It's been 2 weeks. I have called these many times. So all of the things that folks have been sharing, like on Instagram and Twitter and IG, about the terrible experiences that they're having getting support, that's like your Instagram post is exactly what you can say to your representative. It's exactly what you can say to your senator. You don't have to be fancy, but what they want to hear is, I am a dance worker. I contribute economically. I am experiencing this. I do not have food to eat. I do not have a way to get healthcare, or whatever the case might be. And really, really, really tell them what's happening. We have been compiling stories as well, and are also sharing stories based on what people have shared with us. But there's something really meaningful about you individually contacting your lawmakers. And I gotta say this, for individual artists, it's really important that you take this moment to do an inventory of what your losses have been. The different applications and methods differ all across, but you need to know, because when you need to have these conversations, or when all of these different entities and organizations begin to vet how they're going to respond to this moment, you having that information for yourself will be important. How much have you lost in your gigs? What gigs did you lose? Did your gigs even give you proper contracts? All of these different things are important for you to analyze. And I gotta say that it is a painful analysis, because once you start quantifying the losses, it's a painful thing to endeavor. But it's a necessary thing to endeavor, because unfortunately, within a construct of white supremacy, data is king. Data is the way by which our stories are not anonymized. They're the ways in which they're validated. And so rather than letting others tell our stories, for us and anonymize us from data, we really have to make ourselves be present within the data, and ensure that our stories are there. When we had issues with our bank, for example, around the PPP loan, I called them and I said, I want you to understand that this system that you've made for PPP loan is inequitable. I want you to understand that when you reject this loan, what you're doing is taking a meal away from a table of one of our employees. And until I said it like that, there wasn't a leaning ear. And unfortunately, telling our story, which is what we do best as artists, is one of the most powerful things we can do right now to ensure that our rights are protected.
I'm so glad that you're saying all of this, that, you know, we can tell our story, we can tell it the way that we do through Instagram, through Facebook, whatever. We can send that to our representatives. We can, you know, keep track of the numbers. I know that's, you know, not what a lot of us do. That's certainly not fun. That's, you know, doesn't aid necessarily always in the creation of art. But in this moment, it's important that we, you know, understand how other folks need to hear us in order for us to advocate for ourselves and for each other. So thank you for sharing that. That's really important in this moment. You're getting a lot of love on Instagram. I just want to shout you out. Folks are saying, I love her energy. This energy is so relatable. So folks are really, you know, gathering a lot from this conversation. So thank you for sharing it. And thank you for sharing your energy and time with us. As we come to a close, I want to ask two things. If you have any advice for me as a new executive director, I've been on the job for about 2 months now. I moved to Pittsburgh February 29, started March 2nd, and then a week and a half later, you know, shut down all of our in-person programming. And then I also wonder, as an incredible leader who I think is, you know, thinking about so many different types of folks, who is in the epicenter of this pandemic, you know, what advice do you have to all of us? One thing that I want to shout out is I saw you the other day, maybe it was on Instagram, you posted a video of you playing your guitar in your bathroom and singing and kind of going back to your roots in the church, which I really relate to. I grew up in the church, and you know, I often turn to tactics and tools and resources that the church really gave me. You know, I think there's certainly I have my own, you know, issues, but with the church, but I learned a lot, and I love how you kind of reach back and turn to that. So just in general, if you have any advice for us.
Wow. So I think it's interesting because I was an artist for a while, and then I moved into administration. And so, you know, the extent my artistry now lives in the realm of making structures that dismantle structures, which, you know, it's like the same way that white supremacy is institutionalized, so can racial justice be institutionalized. And so my creativity has changed its medium, but I have made it a strong priority to continue to care for my mental health through my continuing to get therapy. I recognize that that's not something that everyone can do, especially in the time of financial constraint. Dance NYC has included free and low-cost mental health resources on our resource page. If you do not have access to that, there are many coalitions of therapists that are offering pro bono support right now to you, so take advantage of it. But, you know, my therapist said to me, she said, Alejandra, don't forget to create. Don't forget to return to art as your place of being and your place of healing. And I want to qualify that, because I think right now there is an uncomfortable amount of pushing towards productivity and for demanding for artists to be productive as a way of producing outwardly for the purposes of consumption. But for me, taking a moment to engage in play and engage in being in relationship with my body, and often being in honest relationship with my body has involved moving. It has involved me singing. It has involved me being in relationship with nature. So like being near the sun, or opening a window, or breathing the air outside. And all of those things for me were born in worship. I actually became an artist in the church. I also have a lot of questions about the church and have a complicated relationship with it. But it has been fundamental for me to recognize what are the things that have nurtured my soul and to
Yeah.
honor them wherever they might be at this moment. And then, you know, I have these little affirmations in my desk that I'm gonna show you, you know, like reminders that this is not normal, that I'm gonna make mistakes, that I need to be kind to myself, and that I need to be kind to others. Because, you know, there are going to be days where I'm not going to be all up in the sauce, and that's fine. It's okay to be that way in this moment.
Yes. Yes.
For you as a new ED, what I got to tell you is, my dear friend, there will be a climb and there will be a descent, and the biggest mountains I had to climb when I started were the ones in my heart, and not so much the ones around me, and really leaning into the mentorship and the care of my community. And I made a decision to not lead alone, that I functionally might be the last voice in a particular decision, but that I do not lead alone. And so that has shifted my ability to respond. It has also forced me to be accountable, and it has allowed me to access resource that I otherwise would not have been able to access. And that's both monetary, but really human, you know? And also, and thereby ideas and strategies. And, you know, as an artist that I really admire, Maria Bauman says the over, through, around, under, and in between ways of how to navigate, and that there's something beautiful in that. So those are my words.
I appreciate your words so much. I appreciate your time, your energy, your care, your intention, your thought. I mean, you know, this is supposed to be a 19-minute conversation. We're 30 minutes in because I can't stop. This is wonderful. So, and also in my head, I want to shout out Lisa Yancey, because I know that she's been a coach of yours in this process, and I just admire her so much. For, you know, anyone out there, look up Lisa Yancey. She's amazing. Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Alejandra. I appreciate you so much. I'm thinking about you all in New York. I miss my New York community. I love my Pittsburgh community. And I'm grateful that we can, you know, share. We're finding ways to share time with each other really globally. That's one thing that I'm taking away in this moment, that we actually can connect even when we are apart from each other. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Sending you my love, and hello to all the fam in Pittsburgh.
And just before I leave, I want to let everyone know that you can follow Dance NYC, dance.nyc on Instagram. The website is
dance.nyc as well.
Dance.nyc. So follow them, even if you're not in New York City. They're doing amazing things. And then Kelly Strayhorn Theater is KS Theater on Instagram and Facebook, and it's kelly-strayhorn.org. So we'll see you with all the KST Global stream. Orlana Darkins Jewelry has a show tomorrow, Down with ODD, where she talks with community members. And again, follow what Dance NYC is doing. Okay, Alejandra, have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Peace.
Bye.